In this video, we'll be taking a look at all today's NBA matchups, and I'll break them all down with free winning picks so you can bet smarter and win bigger. But first, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you get our picks the second they drop, because when the lines move, the early birds cash in. And if you want the full winning sport picks experience, head over to wspicks.com and check out our VIP packages, or grab a free consultation with one of our professional sports consultants for the sharpest edge you'll find anywhere. That's where the real plays live. We are your bookmaker's worst nightmare. These are the games we're hammering, the ones the books can't afford you to bet. This is Winning Sport Picks. The free picks are about to drop, and they're coming in hot. We start with Denver versus Atlanta, where Denver lays 6.5 at -105, and Atlanta catches 6.5 at -109. This is one of those stylistic clashes where Denver's half-court efficiency gets tested by Atlanta's ability to change tempo in a heartbeat. When Denver gets control, they can stretch leads quietly and force opponents into long shooting droughts, but Atlanta at home often plays with a spark that doesn't show up on the raw metrics. Books hang in Denver -230 on the money line, and Atlanta +210 tells you they expect the Nuggets to survive the chaos more often than not. With the total at 238 over -110 and under 238.5 -110, this has the feel of a game with runs instead of steady pace. The Hawks can inflate scoring when they get downhill early, but Denver's structure slows things down late. In these matchups, the dog tends to fight early, but the favorite stabilizes as adjustments kick in. That's why Denver -6.5 and the under 238.5 sit as the sharper angles in this spot. Next up, we move to Philadelphia versus Milwaukee, with the Sixers laying 1 at -112 and the Bucks catching 1.5 at -105. These tight spreads usually tell you books are respecting both offenses, but leaning on Philadelphia's ability to manufacture cleaner looks late in games. Milwaukee has the firepower to flip momentum instantly, yet their floor this season dips hard when possessions bog down. The money line shows Philly at -118 and Milwaukee at +110, which signals very little separation and expects swings in live betting. The total at 223.5 over -110 and under 224 -112 puts this right on the edge of efficiency versus pace. Philly's defense can suppress late scoring, while Milwaukee's transition surges often require turnovers they may not consistently generate. Matchups like this tend to reward the team better at creating mid-range balance and controlling the clock. Leaning toward Philadelphia -1 and the under 224 makes sense when you account for late game tightening. Phoenix versus Houston has Phoenix catching 11.5 at -108 and Houston laying 11 at -110, a number that jumps off the board because odds makers are clearly pricing in the Rockets' superior defensive metrics. Phoenix catching this many points makes them tempting, but their volatility and shot quality has created huge gaps between their best runs and their worst droughts. Houston, on the other hand, thrives when they force opponents to play slower and settle for contested jumpers, which often fuels runs in their favor. On the money line, Phoenix sits at +400 while Houston is -500, revealing that books expect the Rockets to control this game at nearly every stage. With the total at 222.5 over -110 and under 223.5 -112, scoring swings depend heavily on Phoenix's ability to hit early threes. If they don't, this projects as a more methodical game. Houston -11 and the under 223.5 align with the matchup dynamics. Memphis versus the Clippers gives us the Clippers laying 1.5 at -110 and Memphis catching 2 at -114, which highlights a market still unsure how to price Memphis's inconsistency. The Clippers typically excel at forcing slower possessions, and that style frustrates teams that rely on rhythm over structure. Memphis catching points is always interesting because their ceiling spikes when they attack early in the clock. On the money line, the Clippers are -125 while Memphis is +116, which fits a tight game that probably comes down to a handful of possessions. The total sits at 223.5 over -110 and under 224.5 -110, suggesting the books expect a moderate pace with stretches of strong half-court defense. The Clippers' experience often wins these late clock moments. That's why we lean Clippers -1.5 and under 224.5. Indiana versus Chicago features Indiana catching 5.5 at -113 and Chicago laying 4.5 at -114. This number reflects Chicago's improved ability to control tempo at home, while Indiana has struggled to dictate pace against teams that pressure ball movement. The money line sits with Indiana at +170 and Chicago at -190, showing clear confidence in the Bulls' ability to finish games strong. The issue for Indiana is that when their perimeter looks dry up, they don't have a secondary scoring identity to fall back on. The total at 238.5 both ways tells us the market expects plenty of scoring swings, but Chicago has been quietly better defensively in late fourth quarters, and that often suppresses runaway totals. That's why Chicago -4.5 and the under 238.5 hold values. Dallas versus Oklahoma City closes out the card with Dallas catching 15.5 at -12 and OKC laying 14.5 at -13. This is a massive spread, and books rarely hang one this high unless they believe in a major talent and depth gap. OKC has overwhelmed weaker defensive teams by forcing them into mismatches early and often, and Dallas has been one of the league's most high-variance teams when trailing. The money line shows Dallas at +750 and OKC at -1,000, reinforcing the expectation of Thunder dominance. The total sits at 229 over -110 and under 229.5 -110, a tight line that expects OKC to dictate flow. Blowouts often sink overs because pace stalls late, which fits this scenario if OKC pulls away early. The mismatch points toward OKC -14.5 and under 229.5. Now listen to me, those are the free picks, but the one game I am unloading on tonight, the game that's going to crush your bookie's soul, that's the VIP play of the day at WSPicks.com. This is the nuke, the hammer, the max bet, the one play I've circled, the game that will bury your bookmaker 6 feet under. When it hits, and it will, your bookie is going to need a doctor, a lawyer, and maybe even a priest. If you want to ride with me on the biggest bet of the day, get to WSPicks.com right now. In today's matchups, we're rolling with Denver -6.5 and under 238.5, Philadelphia -1 and under 224, Houston -11 and under 223.5, Clippers -1.5 and under 224.5, Chicago -4.5 and under 238.5, and Oklahoma City -14.5 with under 229.5. This is Winning Sport Picks, where we don't just bet, we bury bookmakers. Smash that subscribe button, drop your favorite plays in the comments, and hammer that like button like you're hammering your bookie into the dirt. We're cashing, we're dominating, and tonight we're dancing on the grave of your bookmaker. Let's go!